Move by Airtel Uganda Limited to list on the Uganda Stock Exchange made the telecom second network operator to list shares for Ugandans to buy. By floating 20% of shareholding, Airtel Uganda is seeking to increase local ownership in its business operations. But will Ugandans warm up to the offer? Tonight on The Spot, we host the Airtel Uganda Managing Director, Manoj Murali. Mr. Manoj Murali, thank you so much for having honored our invitation. A warm welcome to you.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for the invitation.
I understand you want, by the end of this year, to be able to float about 8 billion shares on the Ugandan market. What is driving Airtel Uganda and yourself to put 8 billion shares on the market when we are, the rest of us Ugandans, feeling a financial squeeze, going through some difficult times? Is this the best timing you could do this?
First, let me tell you why we are doing this. This is a strategic move to further enhance our strong position in the market and capitalize on the potential of telecommunication services in Uganda. And we feel that the time to hit the stock market, there is no right time to hit the stock market, as long as we have a good proposition which excites customers and which excites our investors, and that's the thought process behind coming up with this IPO. So why I'm saying, don't you have to mind about the market where you're going to offer the shares, because at the end of the day you want Ugandans to buy? Yes.
And on what I'm hearing is that we have come out from the pandemic. You have a war in Russia, you have things not adding up, you have people feeling a financial squeeze, and then you're bringing the biggest offer on the market, if I compare with your competitors, almost 2 times more. And I'm thinking, these people must be very aggressive, or what is it that they see among Ugandans, and they think this time around it can work and make money for them?
So what you're seeing, just wanted to clarify, what you're seeing is the number of shares could be more, but on the overall total value that we will list in the market, that you will have to wait till next week when we release our prospectus. If you look at how Uganda has recovered from the pandemic, and I think it has been, the things are better now. I am not saying it is where it should be, but if you look at the recent announcement by banks on their quarterly results, I see a lot of hope. I saw 2-3 results that is being published, and there is growth that we are at least seeing on the banking sector, which obviously is also proportional to the economic activity happening in the market.
And you feel this hope is real, and this hope, with all respect, is not false hope?
We obviously, we would have studied the market, and we would have looked at the circumstances. If you ask me, is it the ideal time to list? My answer will be no. But is it okay to test the waters? Yes, it's okay to test the waters now. That's why we decided to list now.
Is Uganda's equity market and the entire security exchanges looking good?
As you know, the retail investors in Uganda is not very big. There are institutional investors who invest in whatever IPO comes here. One of the objective of this listing is also to ensure that we have a lot of retail participation. We want to involve the local Ugandan community and also our customers who can become our investors, which will give a sense of ownership and partnership in dealing with a brand they use every day in their lives. So I am pretty confident that with IPOs like ours coming in, the retail investor base will increase, and when the retail investor base increases, you will see a lot of action in the stock market. So
you are confident that Uganda's securities, are getting that kind of capacity to be able to mold the economy and provide funds?
We have to start somewhere, and as I told you earlier, there is no right time for this beyond an extent. So we believe that the Uganda Stock Exchange, with the participation of the retail investors, there will be much more dynamism in the stock exchange, and with a lot of interest in the investor community.
You know why I'm asking this, Mr. Murali, is because when you know, the little that I've seen is that there has been some kind of a decrease in the profits that you have made after taxes. If you compare 2023 and 2022, you see there's a little decrease, right?
No.
From the month from January to May.
So what we have declared from January to May, and if you compare it with last year, there is always a component of fuel expenses which was higher, and the foreign exchange fluctuations. All these add to impact profitability. But if you ask me whether it is lower compared to last year, no. The answer is no.
Because I seem to have seen you made something like $127 billion, billion shillings, sorry, and then compared to 138 billion.
I may not be able to share the full numbers here now. I think we'll wait for the
because I looked into the numbers. Yeah, that's why I looked into the numbers.
Yeah, but what we are seeing is there is the first half of the year, there is a seasonality here, wherein the first half of the year is slightly softer. The second half of the year is much more buoyant.
And I'm asking about the first half of the year of 2023 as compared to the first half of the year of 2022.
Yeah.
It looks like the curve is going down.
No. So if you ask me, it's a marginal, if at all, you know, if you want to check the numbers again, it's a marginal dip. Mainly because...
Yes, a marginal dip, Mr. Murali. I don't know why you are not even accepting that. There is a marginal dip in the profits you're making.
Yeah.
And when that marginal dip occurs, that's when you want to go for IPO.
But I can...
Do you want to boost your financial energies?
I'll tell you, the profits also depend on where our capital investment cycles are. And you know that our capital investments come with a lot of operating expenses. So, for example, if I would have installed a lot of sites in the first half of the year, and then you will suddenly see that my revenues will come only in the second half. So when the costs you book upfront, and then the revenues will build up. For example, we have launched 5G now. You will suddenly see that we will book expenses now, and the revenues will build up. So we are not worried about it. We expect a very strong growth in profits this year.
When you talk about investment, really, before we go to 5G, and we'll be going to 5G much later, when you talk about investment, as a telecom company that has been in Uganda even longer, I suppose, than other companies, what investments are you talking about? Because I suppose you have already put the master across Uganda. What other investment are you talking about?
So, main investments that come in is we have to increase number of sites. For example, last year, we would have installed close to 300 more sites. We have invested on the spectrum. We have invested on modernizing the network. For example, how many sites we fiberize. So, expecting growth in demand on data, we have to invest on fiber. We have to invest on the core network. We have to invest on the spectrum. So, there are many expenses beyond the mass that go into.
And that kind of investment is continuous? You keep investing money there?
Yes, we keep investing. So that's why this is a very capex intensive industry, and also opex intensive, specifically because it takes a lot of money to run the BTS.
Tell the Ugandan viewer especially what it means and what they need to do when the IPO is on.
We will come out with educational videos, creating awareness on how to list, what are the procedures for participating in this IPO. We will also be releasing the prospectus most probably next week, which will give a full insight on our track record of how much revenues, what is our revenue growth, which leg is it coming from, what has been our profits, what has been the dividends that we have been giving out in the past 3 or 4 or 5 years. So the entire financial data will be there. In
dividends giving to who? To your other shareholders?
To the existing shareholders.
Okay.
To the existing main shareholders.
Okay.
So that's the track record of how much money we are generating as profits and how much money we are generating as dividend. The 20% of that is now going to get distributed to the investors from Uganda.
Are you moving into this, Mr. Murali, with a lot of confidence, or you're just testing the waters and you really do not know,
no.
you don't quite understand the animal you're dealing with right now?
Correct. So when, as a company, if you look at Airtel, we are very brave in taking some of these decisions. When nobody wanted to invest in 4G in 2017, by 2019 all our sites were 4G, 100% 4G. God forbid nothing of an event happens like that, but during COVID times, our network supported Ugandans to learn from home and work from home. And you know, fortune favors the brave sometimes, but as a company, we take brave steps.
Fortune favors the prepared ones.
Yes, but you know, fortune always have favored us with some of the brave, calculated decisions that we have taken. So not only bravery will help, there is a calculation behind it, and then there is a decision that is taken. So we have calculated, and we have decided that we should take this step now.
Because the step you have taken is times 2 more than what the competition have done.
Yes. See, we are a highly profitable company. I think, you know, compared to any of the, when you see our prospectus, you will know that, you know, we have, because of our operational efficiencies, the preference that we have created among customers, our technological innovations that we have brought in, and delivering best-in-class services, we are competing well in the market. We could be one of the highest profitable companies in Uganda with a high dividend share, a high dividend track record. So we are offering investors a unique proposition in the market where they can look beyond the traditional investment vehicles. So that's where our confidence comes from.
So, Mr. Murali, what kind of contingency plans do you have, just in case there is a, you know, under subscription? Do you have like an underwriter in the offing?
See, contingency in the sense we will list in the we will try and get to fully subscribed. We'll put in all efforts to ensure it is fully subscribed. If you know, in some circumstances that if it may not happen, we will retest the waters after some more time.
But there's an underwriter on the standby.
As of now, there is no underwriter.
Okay, so just 2-3 days ago, I saw you launching 5G. And I was wondering, 5G in Uganda, third world country, and yet 5G about 6 months ago, it was just making a lot of hullabaloo in America. People saying, you know what, you can't even fly some jets. You know, it's going to interfere with the navigation system of the planes. And like the Western Europe and the United States, people are up in arms. And when I saw in my own country 5G, I just didn't understand it. Because I thought we're going to be like quite a period ahead before actually 5G lands in Uganda. And boom, Airtel is telling us about 5G. So how does 5G work, and how is it going to transform the life of everyday Ugandan, whoever is going to get connected?
Okay, so I just want to, before I get into 5G, I just want to tell you when we launched 4G in 2017, these were some of the comments that came in during that time. Why 4G now? You know, do you have enough phones for 4G? Is it required for Uganda? And then the rest is history. Now when 5G comes, I am sure that these sort of apprehensions will be there initially. But let me tell you one big use case for 5G for Uganda. In Uganda, the home segment is a segment which is coming up very well. So beyond the personal internet, there is a need of a home internet where you watch OTT, you operate a home office, the kids play games. So there's a home internet where an internet is available in the home. Now, the traditional method is to connect it through fiber, which is a costly proposition. I'm not saying it doesn't have its advantages. It has its advantages.
Through fiber optic?
The fiber optic cable. But 5G can deliver, sorry, 5G can deliver the same speed and same experience without a physical fiber. We call it the air fiber. That's one
of the musts.
That is what is going to transform how Ugandans will get home internet delivered to their homes. Because
so a typical Ugandan using internet at home, they're using it to do what? before you make a projection to say, you know, bringing this, the so-called Internet of Things, where they can be using 5G to help them do what? Because you seem to be taking a leap, a giant leap.
So I didn't speak about Internet of Things,
yes,
if you realize.
Okay.
I spoke about the big use case of home internet.
This, I thought you were meaning the Internet of Things.
No. When I say home internet, today in your home, if you want a broadband connectivity, you either ask the fiber service provider to bring the fiber to your home. In fact, you know, I just want to mention here, we are also launching fiber to home. We are already launched in some places. Now, I can bring the same experience of internet to your home through a 5G and an equipment at your home which receives the 5G signals and make your home fully Wi-Fi'd. So that's the biggest use case of 5G for countries like Uganda, where you really, you know, you just jump that fiber evolution to straight away through GSM, you get high-speed internet to your home.
So what you're promising Ugandans is high speed?
Yes, very high-speed internet to home. For example, today, typically, I think what is in Uganda, the fiber gives you speed up to 100 Mbps. 5G can give much higher speeds than that into your home without the need for a physical fiber being pulled, just by using an equipment as a receiver and then complete internet.
So bringing in speed, what was the hullabaloo about in the United States, in Europe, about people telling them halt the launch of 5G as recent as last year or even early this year?
So
that doesn't make Ugandans feel, say, move without any caution, because I could see in America.
I'm not sure about this news, but one news I saw was a fact check and it was reported as fake. All these countries are rapidly enhancing their networks to 5G, except maybe one or two countries in Europe. But you know, everywhere 5G is getting massively rolled out. So I don't know which topic are you talking about?
You know, the truth is there was before the launch of 5G on legit media organization people talking about it could have the capacity to interfere with the navigation capabilities of aircrafts. That one I had. But does that mean that we are going to be giving us a forest of masts in Kampala everywhere? Because it appears there will be an increase of masts. Is that right?
Yeah. For example, you know, not necessarily that it need to be a mast. There are many other solutions like street pole solutions which have come up. There are, you know, you have heard about RRUs. You don't need to put a mast in an existing building. You can put a very small height tower, which can give 5G coverage. So it's not that the city furniture will look bad or the city skyline will look bad just because 5G is here. There are many ways that, you know, we can install the 5G equipment. So
5G and 4G that we are used with for quite some time now, if Ugandans get 5G internet, or even what we are using now, I mean for communication and all that, one thing that is at the back of their mind that I hear quite often is about the issue of the cost. And I know the cost is not really an issue alone, it's also about policy and government. But what would you think should happen for Ugandans to enjoy using some of these services at a reduced cost?
See, if you look at the last 2 years or 3 years, you know, data costs have been continuously going down. Now, as consume more and Ugandans consume more and more data, then the existing infrastructure which has been designed will become much more cost effective, and which will in turn drive down the prices of data. So affordability,
economies of scale.
So affordability comes in 2-3 forms. You know, what is the ticket size that you are giving it to the customer? What is the rate at which customers are using it, and then also
how many are subscribing?
How many are what is the total number of subscribers? How many smartphones are there in the market? So today, if you look at it, you know, the smartphone penetration in Uganda is one of the lowest. If you compare it with East Africa or any of the peers in major African countries, that's one big opportunity for smartphones to come in, affordable smartphones to come in and then customers can start using more and more data.
Smartphone usage in Uganda is one of the lowest in the region.
Yes.
And yet you call yourselves the smartphone network.
No, the smartphone penetration, not usage. Smartphone.
Yeah, but isn't that a shot in your own foot?
See, because
your tagline is a smartphone network.
Yeah, but we have built a network.
You're working in a very small enclave, a very small area.
I think I think I want to educate you on this, because you need to read the tagline right. We have created a network for the smartphones. So as more and more smartphones come in, we welcome them to our network. We have built a network most suited for the smartphones.
How would you find the policies of operating in Uganda, especially when you have young, savvy people who are interested in using some of these gadgets, but you also have in the same country where people cannot, for example, get on Facebook and things like that. These things, as you invest in technologies, but do you find the policies right to make you thrive?
See, we have got excellent support from the regulators and the government on the policy front. Now, there could be one or two things which could be pending, like example what you're talking about, some of those Facebook and all. So that's the call of the government. It's a sovereign state takes a call, definitely in support of its citizen, the security of the country and its policies. But beyond all that, the support that we have got from the government and regulator to continuously invest in Uganda and ensure that we play a very big part in the digital inclusion is phenomenal. I think one of the excellent supports in any country that we have seen comes from the Uganda government and regulation. Very progressive policies to ensure digital inclusion.
So today there is something called the Digital Transformation Roadmap. I'm sure you've heard about it, that the government has launched. And that strategy is supposed to feed into the Vision 2040. But I wonder how telecoms like yours are involved in this digital transformation roadmap that has just been launched. At what level are you participating in this agenda? We
are fully involved. So, what is our role in it? Our role is to ensure that there is a affordable service available. There is a minimum broadband quality of service that is available. We connect many more customers using using our smartphone network, and also participate in bringing the latest technologies to Uganda. So that's the role that we play in that. We are fully in consultation and in discussion with the regulator and the ministry to lend whatever we can do to support this initiative.
You think that initiative can actually be realized, considering that the gadgets, the handsets, smart handsets are actually not cheap, they're expensive, and mostly because also of the taxes involved. And considering that in some places you're yet to reach there, and also the understanding of using of this, the skill to use these gadgets. Because it's one thing to check the network and connect and maybe cut the data. But if people in Kaberebere, somewhere in Mbarara, are unable to use the gadgets, then you're just throwing something at them that they don't even understand. So, with all respect to the people of Kaberebere, by the way.
Yeah. So it's a evolution that happens, So we do our awareness campaigns. We do digital literacy campaigns in many of these markets. We involve with the community groups to spread awareness on what is the power of smartphone. I'll just give you an example. While I agree that some of this will be there, but the progress that is being made on this understanding of gadgets and how it will help came live when we launched our Uganda Needs More of You campaign. I hope you remember this campaign. It's a well-received campaign wherein we invited our customers to share stories of how they harness digital technology to make a difference in their lives and to the society that they are part of. We got close to 65,000 stories and we sifted through all of them and selected 6 stories that inspired all of us. But if you look at some those stories, it is not all Kampala majority stories that we saw. It has come from across Uganda, to the including the farther areas of Uganda. What does it say? It says that yes, there is a digital awareness campaign required, but there is always a peer help that is available. And if this device is one thing that can transform lives, people will learn about it, people will seek, and there will definitely be information available. And we play our part in creating all these digital literacy campaigns.
Exactly how do you reach them in the rural Uganda? You go to a community, you go to a church, you go to community hall. How exactly do you reach these people?
So we have close to 2,600 own stores that we operate across Uganda. So you will not miss any of our stores when you travel the length and breadth of Uganda. And we have seen, and we have also trained our people to train customers who walk into the store. So we have network border to border, we have these stores border to border.
All right.
2,600.
Manoj Murali, Airtel Uganda Managing Director. Hold on to your point, sir, because you're going to take a break. And on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest is Mr. Murali, who's Airtel Uganda Managing Director. Well, you seem to be in a really strong position, especially when you want to list. You can't list unless you feel you're strong, in my view. So, but are you able to tell at what rate are you growing?
So I can tell you in the last 3 years CAGR, because as you said, it's a continuous journey. You know, I don't want to say this last year. If you take the average rate of growth for the last 3 years, we are growing at almost 13.5%.
That's impressive.
Yes.
But you know, at the end of the day, when you grow at that level, probably the entire telecom sector, do you have an idea what is your contribution to GDP?
I don't have an idea.
You don't. But I can imagine that you are employing very few people, not very many, as maybe agriculture and other sectors, but you have such a big stake in a big contribution to to GDP.
I would like to correct you there. Let me give you some numbers. I have 250k agents who do recharges.
150,000.
250,000 agents across Uganda. I've got close to 40k SIM selling outlets. I've got close to 600 distributors. I would be having close to 2k distributor employees. Apart from, we would have our own sales force, close to another, including all put together, including another 2k. So it's not small that we are contributing to the employment. Now it all depends on whether we are creating more employees or more entrepreneurs. Finally, I think it's a contribution that creates a income for the individual.
This is how I look at your organization, and I'm going to say this, Mr. Murali, with a lot of respect, that you are kind to be a company. Of course, you're here to make money. You are a business. But more or less, you collect money from us Ugandans, and I'm on Airtel. As you collect money from us Ugandans, and then you give to government as taxes, and keep yourselves, the other money for yourself, maybe convert to dollars and repatriate back to Kerala.
No.
That's what I'm here. Where do we take it?
Kerala is where I come from. Kerala is where I come from. The investors are in
that's a joke. But the truth is, you collect the money.
Yes.
And the taxes you give the government, and of course the government is happy you are collecting for them.
Yes.
In fact, the job you're doing is you're more or less doing a job of Uganda Revenue Authority.
Yes.
You're collecting for government and give them their share, and the rest is you repatriate. You're free to repatriate, but you repatriate. There's nothing, you don't see a serious investment of a telecom company that is investing in the Ugandan economy, apart from collecting from us, giving to government and taking the other?
I think, I want to, clarify some things here. Of course, we collect taxes for the government. We are operating in a sovereign country with its own policies, and we respect and abide by those policies 100%. And we are proud that, we are doing that for the government, because that money comes back to the welfare of the citizens. After that, the profits that we make, we pay taxes to the government. And then what is remaining after paying all the statutory taxes, fees, everything, then we repatriate that money. Now today, that's the opportunity that we have. 20% of whatever dividends, or 20% of the shares, we are going to list in Uganda. So the 20% of the revenue will be in Uganda. That's point number one.
That's when you list. At least when you list, then that means money will. But before you list, what you've been doing is collect and repatriate.
Correct. Because we are completely aligned to the policies of the government. So we are not breaking any law here. So
no, I'm not saying you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
I'm talking. In fact, you're just confirming that yes, you collect and repatriate. And I'm thinking for the whoever is listening and the government that perhaps they need to change a little bit of their policies so that the element of repatriating they can find a way of how maybe Mr. Murali can invest all that money within, or maybe a certain percentage or something like that. It's a liberal economy. Yeah?
You missed a lot of line items in between. We also invest here. Whatever you are seeing from the evolution of 2G, 3G, 4G to 5G requires a lot of investments. Our total investments in the country is close to $1 billion. $1 billion. So where does all this money come from? It doesn't come from the money which is repatriated. It is the money that we earn here and we spend here. And then, of course, as a shareholder, there is every right for the money invested to get a reasonable share of that money. That happens across the world. So why should it be a problem that should rankle you now?
No, I'm not saying it is your problem. Actually, it is not your problem, because you're a businessman who's come to do business and following the policies and the laws of the country, and that's okay with you.
So tomorrow, I foresee an Ugandan company becoming big, going abroad, investing and repatriating the profits to their home country. It can happen. It's an open world.
So tell me how this happened to be primarily a telecom company, but now you're also more or less like a financial institution. Do you have the... I know you've been moving without a problem, I suppose, but isn't that a little challenging? That you're primarily a telecom company, but now probably you're even competing... I don't know whether you're competing with the banks or something like that, but probably you have more banks, you have more money than the banks would.
I will currently speak only about GSM here, because money is a separate entity for us. But I can just give an overall evolution of how the fintech industry has been. And to clarify again, I think some wrong notions, I think we don't compete with banks. We are a wallet which helps customers do the transactions better. We don't lend money. We don't keep money in our balance sheet. It goes to the trust accounts with the banks. So necessarily we partner with the banks. Partner in a very big way. But if you are asking me whether we compete,
there was that before you came into the picture.
Yes.
There was the brick and mortar where a customer would go to the banking hall, and by doing that, also the bank is also making money. But now, with all these platforms and digital and whatever, so the bank is no longer the brick and mortar. So that brings in some competition.
So it's not that banks are also not expanding. You have heard of agency banking, which is expanding in Uganda. So banks also have built their own distribution model to ensure that their services are widely distributed. The only difference is that we reach a much larger population. Our financial inclusion goals are much larger than the banks right now. But I think we actually are an extension of what banks are offering. So that's why you see that we don't compete with banks. So we partner with them. We make the products available. You have seen that we have launched a savings bank product. My sister concern, that is Airtel Money Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited. They have launched fixed deposit. They have just launched an insurance product along with Prudential and Turaco. So it is a reach that a fintech can give. It's a wallet. We don't earn any money on lending or anything else.
So I'm just learning one thing that's very different, that's new to me, that there's a separation between what you're doing and Airtel Money.
Absolutely. So this listing is mainly for the GSM side of the business, and Airtel Money has been separated in 2021 by an act of parliament. So we operate at arm's length. We are two separate companies, and they provide services like recharging. Our recharges go through Airtel Money, and we provide them USSD and bulk SMS services and some distribution services. They pay us for that, and we pay them commission for what work they do for us.
So now you have a customer or a subscriber on Airtel Uganda network, and he has money on his phone, and probably by an act of God or whatever, he dies in an accident. Nobody among the next of kin knows how much money is on this phone. Where does that money go? Where does that money go?
This money in a dormant account goes straight to Bank of Uganda. So his
next of kin?
Next of kin or his kids or his wife can go to Bank of Uganda, give them the documents that they require them to give, and Bank of Uganda then releases the money to the customer with a copy to us.
So are there instances like these where people have been able to retrieve money in such circumstances?
Yes, many cases. We get a monthly list of people who have approached BOU and with documents, and the settlements happen. Many cases.
That is if somebody makes a claim. How about the money is on the phone, somebody is incapacitated, and no one is making an inquiry? Where does that money go?
That money rests with BOU, Bank of Uganda. So in effect, it sits with the government.
So is it automatic that the money transfers?
Absolutely.
After how long?
15 months.
After 15 months?
After 15 months, a account becomes dormant if there is no active use. The money is transferred to the Bank of Uganda. It sits there. Customers can approach them and withdraw the money.
So, but don't you need perhaps to publish the accounts that are dormant so that people can get to know?
I cannot comment on that because it's my sister company's job. Maybe it's another day we can have a separate interview with.
I think that has been an issue, and how are we sure that our data, the data protection, our information is safe? I'm asking, how safe? I mean, how do you guard against cybersecurity and things like this? I'm asking this because in most cases we hear people calling us left, right, and center, and perhaps he knows everything about you, and then you wonder.
Everything about?
Somebody calls you and he knows everything about you or knows everything about me, and then let me give you a scenario which is very common today. Almost on daily, Ugandans will be receiving calls from people who want to extort money from them. People want to steal from them using for example, Airtel network. Doesn't that bother you? It has become like an industry now.
It bothers us a lot. We have taken many steps to curb this fraud. The big thing is social engineering. So we have created a lot of awareness campaigns on the fact that customers should not share their details, whether it is OTP, whether it is PIN, none of the details should be shared. And this campaign, along with the regulator and the industry, has created a lot of improvements. Now, this is an ongoing war with fraud and criminals, and we have to be always one up above them. Now, the fact remains that majority or almost all of those cases, the customer has been duped to share either his OTP or his banking password or the PIN or any of those things. And that's the only way that
you shouldn't share.
You shouldn't share that. That's the only way you can be tricked, because as a company we have very, very strict data privacy laws. We have a data protection officer who works very closely with the data protection office, and there is no way anybody can access any information because it's all password protected, access controlled. Unless otherwise a customer asks for the details, nobody can access the information.
We've had in some instances, not necessarily with you, with your company, but somewhere else, where actually people are able to hack into the money system, the financial system, and the system is compromised. Are you telling Ugandans that your systems are robust and they cannot be compromised?
None of our customers have lost money through this sort of big fraud. People who are dealing with us, none of them have lost money. Now, if you ask me, are there frauds? There are attempts for continuous frauds, and that's the war that we wage. We are always alert. So the number of fraud cases that has been, fraud attempts that has been defeated is much, much more. And we report this at a common forum to learn from our experiences, to learn from experiences of others. So it's a continuous industry-wide fight with the help of the regulator that's going on.
Okay, maybe that's fair enough. But do you appreciate the fact that the fraudsters in Uganda have actually made it like an industry? And are you working with the government and the regulator in this case? You know, it bothers me. In fact, it annoys. Like somebody will call you and then somehow they have an idea who you are, where you stay, where you work. And they're trying to create a relationship with you, and then they're introducing this idea, and then they tell you ABCD. You know, in most cases, because it has been told, the stories have been told so much, after 1 second you just know this is a fraudster. But because they cannot stop, you know, it bothers.
Yeah, so if you really look at it, it's a connected world. There are many ways your identity and your information will be available with the fraudster. For a lot of cases, we have seen very close accomplices, relatives getting involved in this sort of fraud. The only way for us to fight is to be aware of the issues and how to avoid being tricked. And that's a continuous education and awareness program, and we keep running it so that, you know, the larger benefits of a financial inclusion should not get eclipsed by some of these frauds that happen, and the attempt should be to make it zero.
I saw a lady who was about to leave Fort Portal because apparently she had been told that she had won a Toyota double cabin from Airtel Uganda, and I was like, you know what, don't even start moving, because the way how it sounds, you have been, somebody's trying to con you, and before you know it, maybe you have even sent money for ABCD, for this kind of stuff, and I can imagine almost every day someone is losing money to a fraudster.
Yeah, in fact, you know, one more thing that we have done is we have coordinated and ensured that all our communications goes out from one single number. So that awareness also we have created, saying please don't believe anyone who claim that they are calling from an Airtel number, because Airtel only calls you from so and so number. So that's another awareness that we have created. We have seen a reduction in number of frauds coming in. But if you ask me, is it at the level where we would aspire it to be? It is not. But as I told you, it's a continuous fight, and I'm sure that we will win.
There's something that used to bother me a lot. And I know this is more or less in mobile money, and that's your sister company. But let me ask, maybe you understand this. Isn't there a possibility of somebody sitting up there in your system to engage in credit creation? Get in the computer and say, Mr. Murali, I've sent you 5 million.
Okay.
Out of nowhere, because he's in the system.
No, that doesn't happen, because as I indicated to you, we are basically a wallet, and all the credits that we give, basically we have people who only operate saying is a customer complaint on some reversals, and that reversal is done with a maker and checker. So there is no one person who can do it, and there are alarms that has been put in place to ensure that all those things that are being sent out, there are alarms.
So there's no one other person who has the password to be able to create credit?
No.
And money in form of data and send it to?
No.
So all the money that perhaps is on all the telecom companies moving around, is it actually backed up by paper money somewhere?
It is. It is backed up. So all the money that is available in the wallet sits with banks. So there is we are supposed to park that money in at least 5 banks which are operating in Uganda. So these are called trust banks. Not more than 20% of the float balance will be in those banks, and this money is now with the banks, and this money earns interest, which is paid out on a quarterly basis.
I want to go back to the issue of scaling. We have an amazing power in our hands, in our palms, computer power. In fact, somebody told me that we have more computer power in our palms in form of smartphones than what NASA had when they sent a man on the moon in 1969.
Yes.
So there's incredible power that we have no idea about. Perhaps some of the smart guys are using about 3% of the computer power that is in our hands. How do we move to using 10%, 15% of the power that has been placed in our hands? What do we need to do?
So if you look at the current usage, most of the data is today used for watching videos, WhatsApp, and gaming, TikTok, all the like Instagram, mainly the social media and the social networks. I don't know whether you have seen the new ChatGPT app that has come
Yes.
in. That's exactly what you're saying. You can do whatever you want. It's much more powerful than the Google search engines that we use to scan for information. There is Google Bard that has come in. So this actually will create now an avenue to get information and synthesize information beyond what it is being used for currently, which is more of videos, chatting, and games and other things. But coming to how many people know all the complete facilities available in a smartphone and how it can be powerful, again I said it's an evolving education and awareness program, how you can use the smartphone. For example, I don't use a laptop for checking and replying to my mails. I do everything on the phone.
Mr. Manoj Murali, Airtel Uganda Managing Director, hold on to your points up because we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'll be opening the platforms for you to send in your questions or your comments to Mr. Murali, Managing Director of Airtel Uganda. You can engage him, ask a question, maybe you have a comment, maybe you have an issue, maybe you have a headache that you want him to listen to. This will be the moment for you to have your say. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is the Managing Director, Airtel Uganda, Mr. Manoj Murali. Did I get that one
That's right.
Okay. So now, moving forward in the telecom business in Uganda, do you see it? You said you're growing at 13 something percent.
30.5%.
And that's big. So how far have you enrolled 5G? Because it looks like you within only Kampala and some places. And what does it require for a subscriber, a customer of Airtel Uganda to get on 5G? Do they sometimes have to change their handset?
First of all, you need a 5G enabled phone, and then you have to go and shift your settings to 5G. You don't need to change the SIM. You don't need to buy any new data pack. It works on, our data is agnostic of technology. 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G works on the same data pack.
There was a time when I remember when we were getting the 4G and they were saying we need to get a SIM card that is...
Yeah. So once we change the SIM cards when we launch 4G, now that SIM card will remain, but I have much better news for you. We have launched eSIM in Uganda. The advantage of eSIM is many. One, you don't have to replace the SIM it will never get damaged, it will never get lost because it's an eSIM. There is no physical SIM. And we have got overwhelming response from customers in Uganda. The biggest advantage is when you roam abroad and if your SIM goes faulty, you are stranded. So with eSIM, you don't have the problem because there is no physical SIM. And one of the other good factors of eSIM is you can configure up to 10 numbers on the eSIM slot. And you can use only 2 numbers at any point of time. So if you have many other numbers, you can switch on and decide which number you should use. That's the advantage of eSIM. We are the only operator in Uganda to have launched the eSIM, and I would invite you to experience that facility.
Okay, maybe I should get on the eSIM. But now, before I even go eSIM, I am on Airtel myself. How come sometimes I get some dropped calls? And I'm trying in the middle of the call, maybe it drops, or when I'm trying to make a call and then I have to dial maybe 3 times before it goes through. And every time I'm doing it, there's a dropped call. And that is it's increasing.
No, I don't know, we will have to check that, which area is this, because we have been seeing an improvement on the voice usage. Now, this is another interesting thought I forgot to mention here. We have launched a service called VoLTE. VoLTE is Voice over LTE network. So earlier, before launch of VoLTE, we are the only one to have VoLTE here. I would request you to switch to VoLTE. Earlier, when you were on the 4G network, for voice to happen, it has to shift to 3G. The moment it shifts to 3G, there are cases where the user experience used to get impacted because you go a layer down. Your phone has to go a layer down.
So are you saying 4G is not doing voice?
4G, the voice will not go to 3G, it will go through the 4G network itself. Even the 5G also will go through the VoLTE network. We are seeing that the customer experience is better and you are getting HD voice, high definition voice experience on this VoLTE network. Now coming to your call drops, it's a continuous improvement. Even though the thresholds of voice call drops are there has been set by the regulator, we are far below it. We don't even want a single call to drop. So it's a continuous experience. It's a factor of how we optimize the network. Sometimes it's a factor of the handset. Sometimes it's a factor of the SIM itself on the phone. It's a combination. But what we do is we bring in these latest technologies like VoLTE, which minimizes call drops on the 4G network, and also continue to optimize the new networks that we build in Uganda.
So when you talk about the 5G enabled handsets, does that mean a few of them in Uganda, or does that make the majority of them which are enabled to be able to move without you changing your handset?
If you have a 5G handset, just switch on the 5G and you are live on 5G. For example, we came to NTV office. We had a launch in your premises along with your group CEO and your general manager. We launched 5G in your premises. You get excellent 5G network in this.
Yes, so we are. I just want, for the sake of what people who are viewing right now, they want to know whether, if I'm within the 5G area, whether the phone will be enabled to get on 5G, or,
yes,
or they have to buy another, because there was that talk that maybe you have to buy another handset.
No. So currently, there are 1 or 2 operators who are updating their software, and I have been told that they'll be live by the first week of October. But currently, we are seeing most 100% of the 5G phones of Apple are latching on immediately. There are Techno and other things, other operators who are having 5G which are latching on. Samsung is going to take time till October. October first week, Samsung will be live on 5G.
Wait a minute. Okay. So as we speak, those ones are not yet.
No? So
as we speak, Samsung is not yet, and the other competing gadgets are already on.
Yes.
Okay. So now, as we try to conclude this discussion, I want to know, what do you think about the mobile phone, West? You have about maybe 20 million or 30 million people on phones, and everybody's carrying a phone. At the end of the day, it works for 1 year or 2 years, and then it's discarded. At the end of the day, there's going to be such a West that is all over. What do you think should happen? Because that bothers me. It's more or less like the plastic paper bag now, or even more toxic.
Yeah, so I think there are policies which are evolving on how to dispose of e-waste. I think, there are many steps that are being taken to recycle e-waste and to ensure that they are disposed of properly. We will be, we are participating in some of those discussions, some of those steps, and we will be an active participant to ensure that this sort of policy is put in place.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for the time you've given us, but it's also very important that maybe I give you just one more minute in your concluding remarks. Tell you one thing that you think maybe Uganda needs to know, those who are subscribers on Airtel Uganda mobile network.
Yeah, so I just want to inform my esteemed customers in Uganda, who have been supporting us for quite some time, to be part of our growth story, to have the ownership of our shares, and become a partner, and also get a share of the profits that we are making in the country.
They can grow with you, but God forbid they can also go down with you.
But we always think positive.
Okay.
So I would like to tell our customers that grow with us, partner with us, become our shareholders, and earn with us.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Murali, Managing Director of Airtel Uganda, for the time you've given us. Thank you for having honored our invitation. We're looking forward for the listing. You've talked about 8 billion shares. That's almost like 20% of what you have. That's a big deal. So Ugandans, you want to make money? There's a company that seems to be making money, and the profits are good. So 20 billion shares, you could be part of this. You could join in and make money. And every end of year, you get your dividends. And this brings us to the end of tonight's edition of On the Spot. I want to thank you, especially you who has been watching this program, for the privilege of your company. Good night and God bless Uganda.